Perfect. And we are live. And we're both on camera immediately. Hello, world. um, hello, everybody. You already see my guest. So, Tim is joining us today.
Yep.
And we are going to be talking about the world of 1920 plus. From the artist Jacob. I'm awful with names still. So, this is going to be a running gag with the show. Possibly. Yeah. So, but I just have to tweet out the actual the stream that's happening right now, this moment, and then we can delve right into everything. So yeah, and we are live on air. Thank goodness. I do find it humorous, by the way, that the first time you and I did a show on YouTube together, we got all set up pretty quickly, but it took us like, I don't know, half hour to get that whole stream working.
Yeah.
This time we took like 2 hours to get all of our systems ready, and the stream worked immediately. So,
Yeah. No, wasn't expecting the microphone to just fail on me out of the blue.
Yep. Then I had camera issues, but now we are all good. All of our equipment set up, and next time we're together, we will be good to go absolutely immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Unless something else blows up, which that can always be possible, but you never know. So, um, it's kind of how it's does it going. Most likely, maybe a mice will like eat a wire or something. Who knows? Or mouse will eat a wire.
The thing is just to get tangled up and my cats claw through it.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's also possible. But today we are talking about a very different kind of thing for us. We've never done something like this before. You know, we've talked about a lot of comics, of course. We've talked about video games. We've talked about films on a show, television. But we've never really talked about art or board games. And you are a big tabletop fan, my friend.
Yes.
You.
All from my immediately from my wall chain. Board games, RPGs, and board games. I collect a ton, play more.
You look at the whole little library. It's like a magic pouch from like a quarter of your. You can pull it out, and you have something completely relevant to whatever topic we're talking about.
Yep. That's the joys of the bookshelves I moved in.
It's awesome. I remember you grabbing the Marvel Encyclopedia when you were
Mm-hmm.
doing the Dark Falcon at Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna put the name of the artist in a chat because I did not pronounce it fully correctly.
I think it's Jaco Brzezalski.
Thank you. The last name of what got me. Um, man is the man. I'm kind of looked at the Wikipedia page earlier, and I have it open again. Is a Polish artist. Born 1981. He has a nickname as Mr. Werewolf, which I really wanted to learn more details about how that came to be
Mm-hmm.
because that feels very random, but
Yep.
cool. Also, like his age on Wikipedia, it's not one age, it's kind of between ages, which is weird.
Huh.
But, okay. Um, he's a painter, illustrator for the some of his work, concept art for film Skull Island. But his most famous, I think, work is his own universe he kind of created through his art, which is the world of 1920 plus, which is a history, alternate history take on World War One in a diesel punk environment with mechs.
Hmm.
Um, so Tim, I showed you the video game a while back, and a few months ago, and you knew about the board game a bit before that. But what was
Yeah.
your first kind of introduction to this world?
First introduction is actually just seeing the giant scythe box at the local hobby shop that does board games and war games. And then I just did some Googling. But I never actually went through and bought it until it was available on Steam. Because it is pricey. But yeah, just kind of did some Googling of the art after seeing the box for Scythe.
Um, Anything specific about the art that stood out to you that you liked, or
I mean, I love everything that's to do with mechs. Like, mechs are my favorite subgenre of sci-fi. And then it combines that with um, it's not my most in-depth studied historical era, but it is a very interesting era of World War One and then post-war. So combining mechs with that era has been really it's just everything I want and more. So
no? Same, agreed. I like you. I'm a big fan of kind of the mech subgenre of sci-fi and love history. So my first introduction is just a video game, which for really enough a while, like it was on my Steam wish list for months, and on and off. And I think it was partly because some people like bad reviews, there's mixed feelings on it. But what they heard the story was amazing. And I I started playing it, and I think it got a few months before that in prep for I want to talk more RTS games on a podcast anyway, so kind of been collecting games for that. But when I started playing it, I immediately fell in love with the story and the world, and looking at his art. Also, I found that just interesting how an artist's work, what like I cannot think of many other artists that I know of, but I will admit I'm not the most knowledgeable on specific artists, but of an artist basically creating his own universe through just his specific art and his own little story, which then inspired a board game and a video game. I found that a very interesting, unique train that happened.
yeah,
And a world that is fascinating. Um, yeah, just immediately grabbed me. The art has been my screensaver on my laptop for months now. Honestly, since we started playing it together. But, um, but, alright, we have a world. We have a world set in, you know, early 1920s. You know, like you said, World War One, post-war and post-war era. Uh, with a lot of different players, not everyone from World War One, but some I feel some odd choices a little bit too. Um, you have You have the Polish, in their fictional name of Polania. You have Germany before really Germany as the Saxonians. You have the Russians under the title of the Rusviets. You have the Nordic Kingdom, which, what specific nation would that be, or just a coalition of nations?
It's probably a coalition of most Scandinavian nations, but it'd probably be either Finland or Sweden, since they are the ones who actually participated in uh, the conflict as well as the post-war battles that happened in the area.
Then you also have Crimea, which kind of Turkey's region, and Clan Avalon, British, Scottish, and then the last one, maybe you could say it, Tim, I feel like I'm gonna botch that name badly. You and I were playing, I said the other day.
Yeah, or is it Togawa?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the Togawa shogunate. What are you searching? What are you? I'm just on the artist website.
Nice. And yeah, the Japan for Totoro. But yeah, but no, I've been thinking like, should we show images or not? I didn't really think of that one that much. But I think I'll put a link to the artist website in the chat. And anyone that wants to look, of course, please do. It's amazing stuff. Yeah, I think that is a good idea. So, which I'll now. We also actually have one more faction to think of. Well, two more actually. We have Vanessa Tesla, which is kind of a futuristic I'm not going to say a nation, it really is a almost maybe with a rebel group.
It's almost kind of like its own like independent city state because it's just based in the city of the factory.
Yeah. So a little backstory with the world that is in the world of 1920 plus. We've been talking about broadly, but to describe it in a more coherent manner, Nikola Tesla basically invented mechs and gave his wonders to multiple nations, which was one of the devastating factors in World War I in this world. So after that happened, Tesla closed his factory where he made his wondrous inventions, his wonderful his amazing inventions, and he shut himself out from the rest of the world with his workers and his robots and everything he has.
You're kidding already?
Then a cult, as you can phrase them as, called Fenris, tries to steal Tesla's inventions and multiple characters through multiple nations have to try to deal with the new balance of power that is slowly shaping the world. I'll phrase it like that because I don't want to spoil the story of the campaign, which we will talk about at another time. So, plus this is good. I think if there's aspects I actually got spoiled with the story a little bit, which I wish I did not because, yeah, so they weren't too bad. They were pretty obvious things that the moment you see the character, you kind of recognize, oh, okay, is that. You know, it's not really a big secret, but still. But, so. Mm. Um, which faction appeals to you? Tim, do you think, or what do you find interesting of maybe each?
From like a weird, fun lore standpoint, I feel like Polania has the best lore going for it. I mean, obviously, it's the focus for all things with the artist as well as a lot of the developers of every game being Polish. But I really like the mech design of the Rusviets and the infantry style for Saxonians. I feel like those ones have like two of the most distinct personalities. And then there's a lot of the other things haven't really been mentioned at all in the art beforehand. We get them a little bit in Scythe. But I think it's really interesting the fact that he's very active in creating new art as people want to work with him to expand his world.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll create art for each new faction as the idea gets brought up if he likes it. Yes, but so I like what he's done a little bit with the Nords from that point on. He also has Jacob has a cool line of art besides 1920 that is all like Norse mythology based giants and Vikings and stuff. So of course his Nordic designs are also very tight and very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just everything feels so unique, but and each thing has something that appeals to me. Each different group he creates has something that appeals to me. So it's all just very cool to see it all be built out.
Agreed. And you made me think of a point that I forgot about. First, I forgot about a faction, and B, I forgot. Well, what you said about you making new art for when the time comes and people want it and are invested in it is what I love about the artist is that he is so involved with, I think, originally with the board game and now with the video game Iron Harvest based in this world, that when the developers for Iron Harvest said, let's add a fourth faction, who do we add? They heavily talked with him about what to do. And he, instead of expanding on one of the other, I think, there's about 4 or 5, because Nordic, Crimea, Babylon, Japan, and so that is at least Yeah, 4.
Mm.
Plus, if you had Vanessa, Tesla, and Fenris as actual, like, full-on armies, that's 6 factions you could have added as, your 4th faction. Plus, multiple ones are name-dropped in the story.
Mm.
So, instead, he said, let's make America.
Yeah.
Now you have giant armored zeppelins, which has been great. Horribly unbalanced in a multiplayer right now, but a lot of fun.
Yes.
Also, I enjoyed the film Lords of Arabia. I remember watching that with my mom a while back,
Mhm.
and I really enjoyed it. I actually own it on iTunes. And the fact that the story of USonia, which is the Americans called USonia, is Lords of Arabia basically, is kind of fantastic in my eyes. I really love that.
Yeah.
But the point to artist is that when a DLC came out, he just started making a whole bunch of new art for this new American faction,
Mm.
and they're beautiful. I think my last desktop screen saver was from the expansion until you and I played Scythe the other day, and I changed it to the Scottish nation from Scythe.
Yeah.
I think Max and Connor are the characters' names for like the hero for that faction, but the the sorry, I'm a little short still. As Tim
Mm.
earlier, I said I was a bit sick, and we actually thought of calling today off, but I'm okay. I'm just a little more weak than normal. That's all. But the I completely I lost my train of point. I'm sorry. Damn. I had some extra point in there, but I'm like, now it's gone. Damn it. It was just I appreciate how much the artist has evolved with expanding this universe. And I personally would want to see him expand, I think, same as you, the Nordic Kingdom Nest.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
find it interesting that you have giant boat necks.
Yeah. Giant boat mechs with a big howitzer on them.
Yep. I imagine that's in a game where it'd be focused mostly like our artillery faction.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Like I was thinking last night, like, alright, if you were to add any, change all of the if you added more on all of the factions, right?
Hmm.
Like, could be a unique gameplay mechanic. I've just talked to RTS for a moment here. I feel that Chotagawa would be, first of all, I think their nest. If they add
Mhm.
any extra, if they get the green light, right? Which
Right.
it still seems a little unclear. They're not saying no, but they're also, as they looked at the forums earlier today, and I saw someone ask, like, okay, what is this? Like, are you guys good for their DLC,
Hmm.
And they're like, cannot confirm anything right now. All our focus now is just to the console port of the game, and then
Right.
we'll reassess, which is fair. So, but if they do add it, then they're still gonna. I think the next one because they focus on stealth and traps, and I'm kind of following the common idea in game development where you plant seeds for your next idea
Hmm.
in the previous work. For example, USODIA has a stealth artillery unit. In my mind, okay, you're adding stealth mechanics now. that faction is purely made on stealth. So that makes sense to me. It could be artillery and sea-based stuff, which would be cool. Seeing mech boats. Goddess would be. I don't know. It feels a little weird, but kind of like the digging mechanic. Would be
Oh, yeah.
kind of cool. I'm not sure how that would work, but yeah. And then Crimea, I feel, would be kind of like not a hacker, but like the boarding faction, you know?
Right.
Like, their idea is most like that in a board game, you know, their skill is to steal a combat card from the opponent when you're in battle.
Hmm.
Well, then I feel if you translate that to RTS, have them like be able to, you know, board a mech and
Right.
take it for themselves.
Hmm.
Which would be, I think, like different gameplay, loop, gameplay mechanic, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, how do you make them all really unique, you know?
Yeah.
That changes, but from major, you know, different from each other. Um, for Teslas, what I can't think of anything besides just make everything super expensive and give you
Right.
limits up and
Yeah. They might even be because of the way, Tesla coils and everything, there might be a faction that's not dependent on oil instead. They just have a very high iron price.
that'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd work too. I like that. Yeah. And also, I love foxes. I like that the hero is kind of a robotic fox.
Mhm.
What do you think of, like, what do you think of with his art? You have this weird, you have this weird fusion of a rope, diesel punk mag war history, right?
Mhm.
But then you also have these. I want to. I wanted to. A friend gave me a great term for them, so I want to sort of get the name of that. But you know, these animals that are alongside these nations,
Mhm.
like you have the fusion of nature and technology for
Yeah.
his art.
Yeah. All his early stuff too was also showing these mechs and stuff going through like farmland and stuff.
Huh. That is also interesting. Yeah, it's very kind of like this very you know, wilderness
Mhm.
nature. You never actually see these like cities in his art. I feel, or the only time you do, you kind of see them being burned down or ruins from the
Yeah.
factory. Um, yeah. So let's see. I wanted to see. I wanted to see what my friends. She called them clan animals.
Mm. Yeah.
Kind of like that. That's appropriate.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we also have like the interesting mixture of actual history, like the Poland bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to share the story of that, or?
Oh, I forgot the name of it, but yeah, the Polish army actually had a bear in their service for a while, and they would I forgot its name, but the army essentially found this cub on expedition, and it started following around this weapons team, so they named it and essentially enlisted it, and the bear would run ammo bags back and forth, and it became something of a mascot of the Polish army.
But the bear is also on a war check, just like the game.
Yeah,
Right, just
yes,
like,
yeah.
But weirdly enough, it was not in World War One. The bear served in World War Two.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it just, he kind of just took a bear, brought him back in time by 20 years.
Yeah.
There you go. Which, yeah, just the little nuggets of history,
Yeah.
So, the world after he made art, and I want to the board game company kind of someone reached out to him to make a board game from his world called Scythe. The game is made by Stone Major Games. Jamie Stegmar. I'm so bad with names. He approached the artist and asked, "Can we turn this world into a game?" And that happened around, it seems like 2015 or something like that, maybe 2014. The game came out in 2016. So, also there's a family-friendly version of Scythe with cute animals named My Little Scythe,
Huh.
and that released in 2017. So that is also something.
Weird.
Also, to set there are two expansions for Scythe, right?
Hmm.
So I'm looking at the expansions and spin-offs. So the base game has more factions than RTS. It's besides Saxonia, or besides Saxony, Brisviet, and Polonia,
Hmm.
you also have the Nordic Kingdom. You have all the ones we named earlier. So, well, the RTS just has Polonia, Saxony, Brisviet, and then a whole new American Usonia. Um, and kind of Arabia a little bit, even though they don't really have a unique name, it's just Arabia. But
Hmm.
you have war camels, so that's something.
Yeah.
Um, but no, the board game has 3 expansions. Invaders from Afar in 2017, which the digital version actually has a buyable option, which
Hmm.
we have tried. And then there are 2 other expansions actually, which I'm surprised the Steam version does not have added.
Yeah.
Wind Gambit, which actually added airships, and then the last one is The Rise of Fenris.
Hmm.
Um, which I'm assuming that added Tesla and Fenris as playable factions on the board.
Yeah.
And then a mini expansion called Scythe Encounters, which were promotional encounter cards created by the fans.
Huh.
The game, the fan base seems quite strong for this universe, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm noticing. Like, even though the RTS has not been, or I'll say the RTS, the story is great. The multiplayer needs a lot of balancing and honestly a bit of work. The devs have been very open and transparent about that. They've been honest saying our goal was to make a great story, and they've definitely achieved that. I applaud them for that. And they considered the multiplayer kind of a beta stage still, which I'm not sure how much I agree with releasing a game fully like that, but
Right.
still, like, like, not to speak ill of it, I still recommend the game. But I use the new battleship for the game with the US faction. And one challenge is beat like as many games, as a season for unique challenges. And one challenge was, finish the game without losing any troops. So I'm like, okay, I'm hearing that the battleship is super overpowered. So I'm just gonna make it an easy difficulty, made a small army, high resources at the beginning, so just build it and just send it to the base and see what happens. That thing barely lost half his health.
Yeah.
And it just annihilated everything. And it brought up a point that I've heard before is there's no anti-air defenses now.
Yeah.
Like, on the new maps added for the expansion, there's static anti-air placements you can capture. But on the old maps without any of that stuff, you are in a lot of trouble if an airship comes your way.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it felt like when his expansion was coming, that my understanding, I think a lot of people understood it this way, is like there'd be a new anti-air mech or defense system you could build for all the factions that could help protect you.
Yeah. I saw one on US Onya's roster.
Yeah.
But I didn't bother building it because I was the one with the mechs. Or with the airships. But yeah, I think I'm not sure, but it looks like what they might have from the other ones is they've just kind of tweaked like one of the existing mechs to not make it able to target airships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for Rusviet.
Yeah.
There's some mechs from them that cannot do that, which is weird. And they've adjusted the mechs so that their ground-based weapons can shoot at air units now. But like you said, your Sodia actually does have an anti-air mech, like the Knots, which is like their tank destroyer mech, but also has actual anti-air and ammo.
Yeah.
The only way to fight an airship is by using like the little sky bikes, the little like planes.
Yeah.
But still, like I feel there should be an expansion at some point, even if you don't add any new factions, which I truly think would be a shame. This universe is so rich, and I want to see, Nordic Kingdom, Avalon, Crimea, all these factions expanded with full armies and characters and cultures. But at least just a little booster pack or just like, either for free or for like $2 or whatever, $5. That is just like, here's three new units, or one for each faction with their unique anti-air mech. That's something to help fight,
Yeah.
But who knows what happens with that. I also I just really enjoyed it. What about you? I've been talking a lot, so I might. What what do you think of how everything kind of branched out from this art, and what have you enjoyed more actually? Have you enjoyed playing Dark RTS more? Have you enjoyed trying out a tabletop recently more?
I like them both, but I like them for different reasons. But I think just general reaction to how the universe developed, I think it's actually kind of inspiring and just super cool to see how uh, this one thing blew up. And I honestly think it's such a cool and interesting universe that I want to see more people get into it. And I think also make a for a dope comic.
Agreed.
But I like both because the RTS is it's a war like Dawn of War 2 Company of Heroes style RTS, and I love it. It uh, it needs a little optimization, but it still runs very well. And I'm excited to see where it goes from there. Honestly, at this point, I'm just kind of used to games being live updated until their like full version comes out several years later, which is kind of the sad state of the games industry right now. But it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the board game, I'm also enjoying, and I want to get more people onto it besides just us. I want to get like see if we can get like some other people to get it or whatever, and do like actual game with like 4 people, and maybe a little earlier because when we played it was pretty late and I got tired by the end of there, so this is very quiet. Um, but yeah, I love it's a Euro style game, so a lot of worker placement, a lot of resource management, but with also some fun combat elements and not just board management but board acquisition um, in a way that isn't just dudes on a map, but is actually makes you think about setting up and defending infrastructure, which I think is cool. And not too many games get all those elements all together. So um, I'd be interested to see if they do add more expansions to the Steam version, or if eventually we'll have to shell out the money to get the tabletop with all the expansions.
Same here. I was in the same. I think even that I like I will say I recently moved, as I think a lot of people know. I don't want to say more than that really, but I went to my new local board game shop about a week ago, and talked to them. Very, very nice people there.
Nice.
And I looked, and they said, anytime, come on down, join some new group, whatnot. And I'd even like to try it out, with the people here,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully make new friends, meet wonderful
Yeah.
people, you know. But I do hope, like you said, the expansions come to the Steam version, which I'm a little worried that's not going to happen just because of when the last DLC was released,
Mm-hmm.
which was 2019, I think. But no surprise for anyone. If nobody's noticed, we've had a bit of a year
Yeah.
recently. So I can imagine maybe their expansion was planned, but it got pushed back,
Mm-hmm.
indefinitely till things calm down because of the pandemic. So,
Yeah.
but but I would really like to see the expansions for the tabletop added to Steam, because I really want to try Tesla's faction. I want to see what airships are like. I would like to see Fenris too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I think it's all less likely for the tabletop on Steam to get expansions. I'm a little nervous about the RTS, but think I think is because the fan base is really excited, and a lot of people I've been noticing, right?
Mhm.
Like even when your shorty was announced for the RTS, which has still been great, but I saw a lot of comments saying, "What, what about so and so?" You know,
Yeah.
like a lot of people are upset of why are the Scottish not getting this love, or why not, Nordic Kingdom or any of the others. Like you have 4 to 6 if you're counting all the expansions. Well, you have 2 in a base game, yet 4 more if you count all the expansions for the tabletop. Um, Armies that you could use, and you just make in America. What are you doing?
Hmm.
So there is definitely a demand, a vocal demand,
Yeah.
and it seems like a lot of people bought the expansion for Ursonia,
Yeah.
and I think they like it. What they do not like is how overpowered their units are now.
Yeah.
I've heard people now say like this is supposed to be, Iron Harvest, not, you know, not Airship Harvest or
Yeah.
whatever. Like not this is supposed to be a mech game, not an airship game. Why do little bike planes, zeppelins are destroying everything now?
Hmm.
Which is fair,
Yeah.
but also one of the slightly disappointing thing for me, I will admit, is I really wanted the other faction to get giant zeppelins like the battleship.
Yeah.
I kind of really wanted to see like what would have been everyone's designs of that.
Hmm.
Which I don't know. We haven't really talked about, like, we've talked about the characters, we've talked about the art. We've not really talked about much of the RTS since we're like what we're gonna do with this. I'm gonna say it again at the end, and I should have said it originally, but this is basically, besides our first time covering art at a board game, um, this is also our first time starting a mini series,
Yeah.
which I guess you kind of already did a little bit with the Marvel MCU shows since we've been covering all of those, but
Hmm.
this will not. This will actually have an end point, unlike Disney and Marvel, which might go on forever
Yeah.
if they have their way. Which, I still enjoy the shows a lot. I'm excited for Loki coming
Yeah.
week, which of course we will it'll be covered on the show when the show
Hmm.
ends. Don't think we'll do a first impression. We'll just cover the ending of it. But um, did we'll actually have a dedicated this video as part 1, and then I think we'll go into part 2 with either Scythe or Hard Harvest, and then the last one,
Hmm.
and then one of those we will kind of cover more of the narrative nature of the story and the differences between the lore between a board game and a video game.
Yeah.
But um, the the video game does have hero units. Like you have your currency, you have your steel, your oil, you have your infantry, your mechs, artillery, tank destroyers. Now you have air units, your zeppelins and whatnot. But you also have a hero unit you can choose at the beginning of every match,
Mm.
which is normally one person with an animal companion, one soldier, just kind of more just human-based character, most of the time.
Yeah.
And then a mech,
Yeah.
you know?
And the heroes with their animal companions are all the ones that get featured in the art.
Yep.
The mechs also do have their own. They're also the kind of the first center points of the faction in the art series as well. But it seems like the mid-level soldiers are all kind of all more lore based from the RTS than anything else.
Yeah. I fully agree with that. Because the the only faction that doesn't fit to that is Saxony.
Yeah, well, Saxony's mid-level dude is still one guy in a. He's it's a smaller mech piloted by one dude, but that's uh Prince Wilhelm, which is the Kaiser's son.
Yeah, which is an
Yeah.
actual historical figure.
Hmm.
So it's not
Yeah.
fully a, creation of the RTS, unlike
Yeah.
Polania and Rusviet. And,
But his importance to the story of 1920 is kind of entirely in Iron Harvest. It doesn't really come into Scythe or the art beforehand.
yeah. I like him. I like his
Yeah.
design a lot, actually,
Hmm.
on the Mac. Any
Yeah.
designs, by the way, that from the game specifically that you can think of you really grabbed to other heroes, like maybe one hero in one unit, or a hero in a few units. No, you could name as many as you want, whatever.
Yeah. I'm torn between actually. I think I like Gunter as a hero or character the most.
Yeah.
The Saxonian hero. But I think the Rusviet mechs have my favorite design. Not their like big like ultimate mech, but like this one right below that. But like the four cannon arms. They all seem. It's kind of all my favorite designs for mechs and is they're all built very kind of harsh angles. Very practical, very big guns. Their artillery mech is literally just a setup on like two wagon wheels and it has rows of massive rocket launchers.
I, I love the artillery unit, how that looks.
Hmm.
For me, it's kind of interesting because for me, that there's like one design with each for the armies that I actually do not really like much. Like
Interesting.
Polania, I don't really like their take destroyer. Like that's the look of it. It just feels. I don't hate it or anything. I don't despise it. It doesn't do anything to really grab me. Yet I love their gun for it. With
Yeah.
it's even so simple. It's really just a World War II bomber cockpit with two giant cannons on the side of it.
Yeah.
But unlike the Super Blessing, like I like this. I love the Smiley unit, the little with the rifle scout.
Oh yeah.
Rusviet, I would say, kind of the Scythe mech for design wise. Satsuni. Satsuni has, I feel, the most uniform out of all of them. But if I'm doing mech, I'll go with mech / hero. I really like Wilhelm's mech. Like,
Yeah.
how it looks. Gameplay wise, and honestly, character wise, out of all of them, I'm the same as you, Gunther.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk much more about this in a story episode, but I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. When I played, first I enjoy how he plays a lot, but I love his personality. When I play the story, I immediately thought, this is my favorite character. For Polania, it has to be Anna. I also like how she plays. For Rusviet, it would be. I enjoy Olga with Tiger, but I really also enjoy Victor.
Yeah.
Or I'll say Victor at the moment. Yeah, Victor.
Yeah.
And his design of this kind of cyborg, Frankenstein,
Mm-hmm.
kind of Tesla coil man, is definitely they did well done and just interesting look.
Mm-hmm.
And then with US Sonia, it's interesting because US Sonia, um, you have. I'm not sure how I feel about this because on one side I love the character, like I love how she plays,
Right.
the woman with the Falcon. But I also feel like okay, I kind of wish it was your own nation. Also, you took like a bird would have been Crimea's companion if to, you were added to the game. Um, but I like the character. You have the captain, which I will get back to, and then you have the admiral, which is completely overpowered with a giant battleship,
Yep.
and is the father of the captain.
Mm-hmm.
And a captain, I don't want to say too much about it because again, I don't want to talk story details really,
Right.
but I played through the whole story before we went live today. Only thing I've not played through is the second story deal, or the first, I guess, release story DLC for the game, which is about the Russian Revolution.
Yeah.
Which I haven't even done the first level of that. It's like 4 levels. It's really short compared to
Mm-hmm.
other campaigns, but I've not done it. But play the US only one specifically, it kind of reminds me this is how people outside of the US view the US a bit.
Yeah.
And I thought it did, like I said earlier, kind of a little bit based on Lords of Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess spoiler warning for a second, but just me saying that, Tim, I know you know your history very well, and you know American politics very well.
Unfortunately.
Clear statement, my friend. So, it's not that surprising that there was a bit of commentary on the US and oil
Mm-hmm.
with
Yeah.
that story, and I phrased it to my friend, my cousin, my cousin the other day, right? Like I played it and I phrased it as it's interesting seeing how non-Americans portray America, where it's a bit stereotypes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they do more than, of course, how some Americans would think of America.
Yeah.
But it also, like, you understand a dark message of, like, the military industrial complex, possibly. But you also have this, like, hopeful message of, like, these are the ideals that you say you want to inhabit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing to actually inhabit them, if you
Yeah.
choose to. Which I found fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, like, there's a lot of, conversation I find in studies where, you ask many people around the world what the biggest aids to the world peace. And unfortunately, one answer is the US.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
seeing that message about the US from a foreign developer, I use the term heartwarming and I still feel as accurate in a way.
Yeah.
Like, you are not this, but
Mm-hmm.
you could be this.
Yeah.
And I like seeing that
Yeah.
because it's true.
Mm-hmm.
We should be better than we are,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, but I have no idea what we would cover this again, or Like, we've talked about the factions, we've talked about the art, we've talked about the characters. Um, I could say we could talk about like how they play each of the factions in both games, but we're gonna do dedicated episodes on this stuff, so I feel like more appropriate than
Yeah.
I most likely talk too much about the characters anyway, in all honesty. So, but still, there's nice CIPs, and
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else to really cover in a broad sense of like,
Yeah, I feel like we kind of went over everything in broad strokes and talked about the subject like we were hoping to,
yeah,
and it has been about an hour, so
yep, and we did kind of start a little later than we meant. So,
Yeah.
I think we're good. I think we're good. I have no idea when we're going to cover this again. Um, the next couple of weeks are going to be all packed. We have E3 next week.
hmm
We will have Loki at some point, most likely in a month and a
Yeah.
half or something. We have some comic stuff I want to do.
Mhm.
Most likely I want to talk some Halo soon, get your E3 and stuff.
Yep.
I know I'll want to cover Mass Effect in a month or something.
hmm
So there's stuff that will happen.
Yeah.
So we will tackle it at some point. I will. Did you not make promising anything, right? But I'll just gonna go off on a limb and say I think we're most likely cover our Harvest Nest. Maybe, well, because we would want to see what the expansions for Scythe are like, possibly.
hmm
If we choose to talk about it. Or we go Scythe first, because that was the first thing that came out from his work. So,
Yeah.
But let me just grab the artist's name, or not name, his website, so you can take a look at his work. But yeah, I highly recommend his work, and it's really impressed me.
hmm
Like he said, it's an inspiring tale of kind of art turned into board game, turned into
Yeah.
video game, made its whole world and the big fan base, and I've never heard of something like this. I'm still amazed.
Yeah.
But on that note, my voice is short. I can tell you are hungry and tired. And I'm hungry too.
Yeah.
So we are calling it here. Um, we also never really did intros for us. So, oops.
I mean, at this point, people should know where to find us.
Yeah, we we might have been on the air together a few times by now, people. I think so. But I'll at least link your Twitter account right now,
Okay.
just in a chat, so people can find us. And also, I'm still getting used to YouTube.
Mhm.
All right, we went on the air with only one try this time, so that was good. But I still have to make links to everyone's. I have to make everyone's get moderators working. I have to see if command stream is possible for the live stream. But I'm also going to start adding my test contact. Well, I'm going to. I'm gonna try to get more ways so you guys can find my guests a little easier instead of just vocally hearing
Mhm.
it. But yeah. But that's it. Any closing thoughts, statements, or just weird things you want to share with the audience, Tim?
No, but if you're into mechs and history or no one who is, get them into this universe because I think it needs more attention.
Agreed. Would you want to see like some sort of animated thing, by the way, with this? I'll ask while we just, I get the last link.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I feel like, yeah. I'm not sure if it. Oh, I guess if it's done well enough, but I feel like Western mechs do best in comic books, and so unless they were to actually outsource to like a Japanese animation studio, uh, it might come out a little weird.
I agree. My mind kind of came to that does like rat crouching thought it does was, and maybe because I just love this format I've learned,
Mm.
but have you seen the Animatrix?
Yeah.
So kind of like that with each tale,
Yeah.
a little bit of a different art style with a different nation,
Sure. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That, but that is does random thought. But we are both tired, and we are to go now. So bye bye, internet land people, and I am Bert Van. C is Tim TK. You can see his links. He is also known as Aggrobacon.
Mhm.
He is a wonderful person, and you should follow and check him out because I say so. And that should be enough.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Bye bye.